Oh boy, I have been waiting to get to this guy for so long now. Henry is one of my favorite characters in all of Thomas, but to say that he's had a very turbulent journey would be an understatement. Cause out of all the characters in the CGI series, none of them have ever fallen as far as Henry. He's had quite a lot of low points. But that's not to say that he has had a lot of high points, cause he's well and truly had. Including being a lover for nature, and being a part of one of the most famous episodes of the whole franchise. Not to mention almost being written off the Railway series from Audrey himself, only to then, well, actually being written off by Mattel in the Blobber era. Just what has Big Green has to his name? Well, let's dive on in and find out. Henry is generally well behaved and friendly, but is sometimes arrogant, stubborn, and rude. At heart, Henry is a very hard worker, but his frequent bouts of illness hindered his work. Henry's illnesses almost always have something to do with his boiler. Unlike Gordon and James, Henry does not mind pulling trucks, especially as he is a mixed traffic engine. Although when he is given the job of pulling the express whenever Gordon is unable to, this could get to his smoke box, and he can act full of himself. While he does not usually mind pulling trucks, Henry dislikes having to shunt his own trains, a trait that he shares with Gordon and James. Of the big engines, Henry is the most likely to be respectful to engines such as Thomas, Edward, Percy, and Toby on a regular basis. He does not frequently antagonize his fellow friends like Gordon and James do, and usually shows remorse for his actions. These traits also make him more level-headed than his fellow big engines, who often find him trying to keep them in line, being the trio's voice of reason. Despite Henry's curmudgeon and arrogant attitude at times, he has been shown to be a nature lover with a deep appreciation for the forest. On occasion, Henry has gone out of his way to help try and save trees he fears are in danger of being cut down, and has been shown to become depressed when the forest is damaged by storms. Do I have to read this? I guess I do. Between the 14th and 19th seasons, rather unfortunately, Henry became a more worrisome and an easily scared engine. This worrisome personality was also featured in The Adventure Begins, which greatly contrasts to the original version of the sad story of Henry. Despite this, he has been shown to still be capable, competent, and confident on a number of occasions, particularly during the 17th season and from the 20th season onwards until the show's end, even after being recasted as a secondary character after the 21st season. Now, in terms of voice actors, like Edward, he's had a few, including ones that have voiced him in things outside of the show. But like Edward, we're only going to stick to the following people: Patrick Breen, Kevin Frank, Keith Wickham, and Kerry Shale. So unfortunately, Simon Hepworth and Robin Smith won't be included. Let's start with Patrick Breen, who voiced Henry in the work print for Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Like the US voices for the CGI series, I'm kind of conflicted on the director's cut voices. Michael Angelis as James is fine, but the rest are a bit hit and miss. But I think that Patrick Breen as Henry is easily the worst of the template voices. You know how Angelis sounded like he was holding his nose when he voiced Bulgy in Season 7? Well, this is pretty much the same case here, only just so bizarrely. And honestly, I prefer who they actually chose to voice Henry in Magic Railroad, albeit only slightly. that being Kevin Frank. This is actually the first episode in this second iteration where we mention the Magic Railroad voices, as Edward, strangely, did not appear in Magic Railroad. For understandable reasons, of course, but still strange. Kevin Frank does a much better job than Patrick Breen does. Yeah, he kinda sounds American, and admittedly a little bit nasally, but still is a good fit for Henry. Now for the CGI series actors, starting with Keith Wickham. Like with Edward, his Henry voice is iconic. I may be biased by saying that because, well, I grew up with the UK dub because I'm British, but it's still a unique and very nice voice for Henry. And when they get it right, you know you're in for a treat with his voice performance. Especially in Henry Gets the Express from season 20. Kerry Shale, though, on the other hand, is just straight up bad. In fact, I think he's worse than Edward's US voice. Just what in the holy mother of Titan is this Henry voice? This does not sound like Henry. And it just feels out of place compared to the far superior UK dub. And hell, even some of the better US voice actors. At least Kerry did a better job at voicing Gordon, but we'll get to that. So yeah, Kerry's a good VA in Thomas, especially when voicing Diesel, but when voicing Big Green, nah, this ain't it, Chief. Henry's best episode of the whole show, I think, is pretty obvious. It's Henry's Forest. Like I've said a billion times, Season 3 is my most favourite season of the show, and it showed different sides to characters that we never saw. Henry was no exception. I just love this episode for what it is. It's right up there in my top 5 for the season. We get to see Henry be quite a bit of a nature lover, something that we even get to see in later seasons, for better or for worse, depending on the person. And you really feel his emotion for when the whole forest was destroyed by the storm. And you feel all warm and fuzzy inside when the forest is rebuilt with the baby trees. Of course, as we all know, Audrey infamously hated this episode for breaking railway practice. But I hate to say this to you, Audrey, and I mean no offense to you, but I kinda call bullshit on that. So now you see why I don't give two flying fucks about railway realism? That's why. Either way though, this is a very wholesome episode. One of the all-time greats, without a doubt. But unfortunately, Henry isn't without sin. Because he has had quite a lot of stinkers. Not as much as Maggie, but still, quite a lot. But the worst episode of his is without a doubt Henry Spots Trouble. I cannot stand this episode in the slightest. It is easily one of the worst Brother Era episodes without a doubt. And the sad thing is, this was written by Davey Moore, who wrote some genuinely good stories before and after this one. Hell, he even wrote Steam Team to the Rescue. But anyway, I am definitely not the first person to say that Henry's CGI persona sucks, and I definitely won't be the last. Why would Henry be scared of chicken pox, of all things? I mean, engines don't catch it. Why do you think this after seeing Thomas and Paxton that they caught it? And I can't believe I never noticed this until now, But this is a goddamn Three Strikes Formula episode. I'm not saying it's Davey Moore's fault for doing this. He was a good writer in this show. It's just stupid Mattel forcing him to make Henry a coward. And that's why this is Henry's worst episode, hands down. And the runner-up would be Ho-Ho Snowman. This is another one of those face-palmed episodes. I mean, why would Henry be scared of a snowman of all things? When the worst thing it does is just telling jokes. Look, I personally think that Charlie's an okay character. But just why would he want to do this? It's episodes like this that just wants to make me hate Charlie. When I know I can't because there's 4 characters that are even worse than him. Season 16's an okay season, but this is among my bottom 3 from that season. F*** this episode big time. To say that Henry's journey has been turbulent would be an understatement. But I'll give him this. Very much like Veggie, they somewhat improved with him over time, especially in season 20. But like I said, that is not to say that there's some good Henry material to be found in, well, any of the first 5 seasons for that matter. From his arrogance, to his struggles, to his love of nature. And to give the hit era some credit, at least they tried to do something with Henry. He's not without sin, of course, but at least they tapped into his love for nature. And there is plenty of CGI Henry episodes that are very much enjoyable. Henry's Hero and Henry Gets the Express are easily 2 of Henry's best CGI episodes without a doubt. Especially the latter, for how much I love season 20. I mean, it is the best CGI season for a reason. But despite his slaughtering, I can't help but find Henry to be a fascinating character in his own right. And he is definitely up there as one of the best characters in the show. And that brings another Character Highlight Reel Part 2 episode to a close. And let me tell ya, for these next couple of episodes, I will have quite a lot to say for these Thomas characters. The next episode will be on Gordon, the proud express engine himself. Words cannot describe how excited I am to cover this guy. As like Henry, I will have quite a lot to say on him. If you guys want to stay tuned for Big Blue's episode, leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on the newest content. Until next time, bye guys.